So we'll be able to appreciate. And then each time we try to maintain our house, and then we realize that, oh, so difficult it is. And then we think of the Lord. And then so like that, we try to connect everything to the Lord in the Smaranam aspect. And then how the creation is dissolving. And then even the other aspects also, how the Lord is empowering others to do the creation and the dissolution of the creation. And then how is the spiritual kingdom? Then what are the pastimes of the Lord? What can we see in the spiritual kingdom? These are thoughts which are Smaranam thoughts, which are very good. We may or may not know the answer, but then the very fact that we are thinking on those lines, contemplating on them, and then trying to understand, that itself is going to give us benefits which are far, far greater than the benefits that one would get by carrying out pious activities. So this is devotional service, and this is the glory of devotional service that is being highlighted here. And where do I get all these aspects? Of course, we have the scriptures, which is the Bhagavad Gita, then the Brahma Samhita, then Shrimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is full of pastimes of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita is the instructions of the Lord. It is the song of God. It is the voice of the Lord. And then Brahma Samhita is the narration of the creation, or how Brahma is seeing it. So in this way, we can actually get an insight into the activities of the Lord. And the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita has said, all my activities are divyam. Janma karma chame divyam. So everything is divine. And then the moment you associate with that, in fact, if you recall the whole shloka, Janma karma chame divyam, evam yoveti tattvataha, yakya deham punarjanma maiti, naiti mameti so Arjuna. So Krishna is saying that if you just think of me, my activities, my birth, my activities, that itself is liberating. So naiti mameti so Arjuna. So tektya deham punarjanma. So there is no punarjanma for you, which means that you will move or come into a liberated state, or you'll move into the spiritual world. So much of assurance the Lord is giving, and then we can understand how it is imperative and necessary for us to associate with the divine rather than the material. Materialistic things are also coming from the divine, but our conditioning is on the materialistic thing. So we'll have to detach from there and attach to the divine, which is spiritual. So this is what is our endeavor. And generally a devotee, a sincere devotee, who's associating with other devotees, like how it is happening here. Every day you all are associating with each other, and then listening to the katha, and contemplating, asking questions, and so on and so forth, which is a very wonderful thing to do. I mean, you cannot ask for anything more. I see some of you in your, when the video is on, some of you are dialing in from your offices, some of you are doing it from your kitchens or wherever you are, so that, you just need to keep that there is this, you understand how imperative it is to maintain this association, and that association is very much necessary. And what are the topics that are being discussed? The topics are about the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord. And this actually brings about a change in the devotee. What is that change? That he or she begins to feel a distaste for the so-called happiness of this material world all the way up to the heavenly planet. So now for a devotee, a practicing devotee, somebody says, okay, you do this, then I'll promise you a place in heaven where you can enjoy or be whatever you want for many, many years, and so on and so forth. The devotee is actually not very attracted to it. Maybe before we started the devotional service, maybe we would have been a little attracted to it. But then you realize that, no, that is not where I want to be. I'll move on, and then I want to move towards service of the Lord. So the service of the Lord, serving the Lord, provides a greater attraction to a practicing devotee than all these material comforts or position or any of these other things. And this is a gradual process. Maybe today we might still have we might carry some attachment to certain things, but that's all right, because very clearly it is told here, Prabhupada says that it is a gradual process. And this gradual process is something which means that it's not going to happen all of a sudden. It's not like a switch. okay, today like this and then tomorrow it's like that. No, it might be in the mind. We might decide that way. We might be decided, okay, now I know where I want to go, and then it's like a switch. So I know that I'll not want to get into the material world again. I don't want to enter another womb again. It's a decision that we have made, and then we have made it in a very distinct way, and then there are no two thoughts about it. But then the process of getting there is tedious. It's like a student. He or she might decide that I want to get into IIT, but then that decision is done. But then the process to get into IIT is long drawn, where there is some effort, sadhana, sacrifices, everything. So the same way for us also. So we've decided, but then it's a slow process. It's a gradual process. So acquiring knowledge for an aspiring IIT person is also a slow process. So day by day, moment by moment, one understanding after an understanding, he builds up his knowledge base, and then he becomes more confident, and then he will be able to crack the exam when the time comes. So in the same way, here also, so we will endeavor, and then we will move with determination, but then the process is gradual. So this is just wanted to explain that. And now the devotee is actually only interested in being transferred to the personal association of the Lord. They don't want anything else. Nothing else is giving them any attraction, because they realize that all of that is what? What is it? All the other attractions are temporary, whereas the attraction to the Lord is permanent. So we actually are wanting permanence and not something temporary. Asatoma Satgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. So what does that mean? Asatoma, I am in Asat, take me towards Sat. And then I am in Tamas, take me to enlightenment. And Mrityorma, I am in Mrityu, that means I am in Amruta, Amrutam Gamaya. So that means what? Amruta is eternal, eternity. So there is no death. So in this way, we always have this need or desire which will be more permanent, more enduring, more lasting. So that is, and all of that we realize that it is had only in devotional service, because none of the other material things will grant us this thing of permanence. And then Prabhupada says that this devotional activity, you know, this is actually rujubi. That means easily one can attain that. How? By carrying out the aspect of devotional service. So, sorry, let me just put it in another way. So, the aspect of liberation is actually very easy. And how it is easy is being explained here. That is by just doing devotional practice. So, in one sense, Prabhupada calls it as the mystic power that one gets. Is why is he referring to the mystic power that one gets by doing devotional service? That is because mystic power means what? You have the ability to control. So in this, what is the control that we get? It is the control of the mind. So because the mind is always attached to material things, so then if we have to detach, or if we have to refrain, if we have to develop a distaste, then we should not be so attached. So we'll have to control the mind, because the mind is dragging you towards the material objects. But then we will have to become stronger so that our pull on the other side is more. It's like the tug of war. The weaker party is always being pulled by the stronger. So now we'll have to decide which is the stronger side, or we have to strengthen the side where we want our mind to go. It has to be strengthened. That can be strengthened by activities, by devotional service, by doing action. So every time contemplation and all of that. So that is also given. Prabhupada in the next verse talks about how to do devotional service, various ways in which you can do devotional service, and various ways in which you can strengthen that side so that your mind is not pulled on the other side, on the material side. So that is again by the 9 ways that are there. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyamat, Nivedanam. So these are all the various activities in devotional service which is being explained by Srila Prabhupada, and then says that, okay, it's actually easy to do devotional service, and there are so many ways in which you can execute them, and so on and so forth. So these are the, okay, I just see a message where they want to know what are the shlokas being covered. So the shlokas are from 325, that is the third canto, 25th chapter. We are doing verses from 26 to 30. So the 5 that we are doing. Okay, so this is how the glories of devotional service is being explained in detail by Lord Kapila to his mother. And then Prabhupada actually is saying that the position of such an individual who is attached to yoga, to devotional service, is yoga yukta. So he is yoga yukta. So there are some words which are very important. Rujubi, which is very easy, that we saw that. And then devotional service will take us there. And then secondly, it is also about yoga yukta, which means that the person is steadily situated in devotional service. Then that person develops a distaste for material things. So now what we thought was not at all possible. How can I give up this? I'm so attached to it. Anything I can do but this one. So that's our pravriti at the beginning. That's how we were thinking within ourselves how I am. But then as we started doing devotional service, even though it was with faults, even though it was with so many, I mean, not very good, I mean, in ways that it was with kalmashas or with impurities, which means that we had some material desires, because we know what is devotional service. Devotional service is the service that we do to the Lord to please Him without any material motivation or conditions or any of these other things. Okay, I'm doing this, so Lord, give me this, without any expectation. So that's the thing. But then initially, or even as we continue, it is not always so. So it has got a lot of kalmashas or a lot of impurities, our devotional service. But still, the Lord is so merciful that He gives us some amount of all these things that we are seeing. No, we can actually feel those happening. So we'll suddenly realize that there is a distaste for certain things. How did that happen? That's because of the mercy of the Lord. Even though I am doing it in proper way, I'm not a proper person, I'm not qualified enough, or whatever it is, but still I begin to see some benefit. It's like in an examination, no, we would have gone through. We don't know the answer. We didn't get the answer. We didn't know the answer. But then we made an attempt at answering it. And seeing that attempt, the teacher has given maybe half a mark, 2 marks, or whatever. So it added up to the total. So by these marks only, somehow we have come to a position where we today are able to listen a little more. So slowly, strand by strand, this gradual process is happening. Our faith is becoming stronger, strand by strand. That means that the rope of devotional service is becoming thicker and thicker, and thereby our attitude or the way we look at things is becoming better and better. Our detachment to material things is being loosened knot by knot. It's not like it happens one shot, but it happens gradually. So this is the aspect that is being brought out in these 2 verses. And then this way, there is a conclusion. And then Lord Kapila is saying that my association, if one achieves my association in this very life, then we can actually, I mean, it is possible to achieve my association, that is Lord's association, in this very life itself. So this is the assurance that is being given. So this aspect of devotional service is many pronged. So it has renunciation, then it has acquiring knowledge, and then it is also having an aspect of carrying out the activity. So we have to carry out the activity with proper knowledge and with renunciation of material. So detachment, attachment, and action. All 3 are the ingredients of yoga or devotional service. So there again, Devahuti is actually asking, what does she ask? We'll just try to see that. So, Devahutir Vacha. So, what she is saying is, on hearing these statements of the Lord, Devahuti is actually inquiring, what kind of devotional service is worth developing and practicing to help me easily and immediately attain the service of your lotus feet? So, this is what she is asking. So, for this, Prabhupada is writing, and he says that in Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that no one is barred from rendering devotional service to the Lord. Everybody is having an equal opportunity to render devotional service to the Lord, because the Lord accepts from anyone, whatever is their situation. The Lord does not ignore a person's devotional service by saying, no, you are now still a child, or you are an old man, or you are uneducated, or you don't stay in this tract of land, so I'll not accept. No, the Lord is not like that. Or the Lord does not say, I'll not accept it because you are born to a certain parent, so or you belong to a certain community, so I'll not accept it now. So never said that. He is equal to everyone. And whether one is a woman or a laborer or a merchant, so we know the shloka, that's Stri, Shudra, or Vaishya, or even a Dvija. So any of them, they can engage themselves in devotional service of the Lord, and thereby they can promote themselves to higher perfectional states. So there are ledges, or there are steps. So from one to the next, to the next, to the next. So this opportunity is there at every level, or at every step. There is an opportunity to move to the next higher step. And what is this step? Where, of course, step means the pathway or the staircase. Now, what is the end point of the staircase? That is Godhead, going back to Krishna. So that is the end result for everyone. Whether somebody is in, it might look like they are right from a karmi who wants to enjoy his senses, to a person who's talking about Mayavad, or believes in the Brahman, or who believes in everything becomes one, or to somebody who wants to see the Supreme or experience the Supreme within himself, or somebody who's trying to do devotional service. All of them, actually, they are not different paths in one sense. They are all like one series, one long staircase, and everybody is in a certain level at that particular staircase, on that staircase. So it's all various levels rather than different paths. So it is linear. It is not uh, parallel, or it is not multi-pronged. It's not like, okay, you can come this way, you can come that way. No, it is all linear, because if you are in a certain path, then you move to the next, and then the next, and the next. But each of these paths individually might appear to be totally different, but actually they are not different. They are so a karmi, what is he doing? He's fulfilling his senses. So now that also is a pathway, but that is much lower in the run. Now, how is that a pathway? Because by fulfilling of those senses, then he realizes how futile it is. He realizes how stupid it is, or how much I have to endeavor for a small gain. And then he realizes it is not worth it. So then he is now moving to the next platform. So from being dejected to this platform, where he begins to inquire, is there something more to life than what I'm seeing? And thereby then he gets introduced to somebody. So maybe somebody, the Brahman concept might be an attraction to that individual. He might take to that particular path, and then try to progress in that, then realize the futility of that. So like that, if you see, it's all one straight staircase only, but then it appears like they are multi-pronged, but they are not. So everybody is going to the destination, which is back to Godhead, but somebody is at a lower level. So if we look at it that way, then we will actually not have any negative orientation with respect to certain individuals like karmi. So we'll realize, okay, he's in that particular state now, so probably we have to bring him to that next level. So you'll not try to yank him out of that particular position and then put him on the path of bhakti. So that's the worst thing to do, because that person is not convinced. So now it helps in preaching, it helps in understanding the individual, it helps in developing a little more cordial outlook to that person, not be hateful, like they say, no, hate the sin, not the sinner. So where is that coming from? It's coming from this understanding that everybody is struggling, and then they need to move up. So we will have to imbibe these qualities in us with the proper knowledge, and then continue to do our sadhana and help that other person to move up. Maybe 2-3 steps you can help that person to move up, not exactly get him to back to Godhead, but then few, and then few nudge a little bit so that he climbs 2-3 steps. Then like that, then somebody else. So the Lord takes care of it in that way. I'm not the doer, but leave the entire result to the Lord. So just do what you have to do and then continue. So anyway, so that is one small deviation. But then coming back to what Devahuti is saying, so she is saying which is the best method. Because if you look at, she's saying that the mystic yoga system, as you have explained, aims at the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is meant for completely ending the material existence. Now, please let me know the nature of that yoga system. How many ways are there by which one can understand in truth that sublime yoga? What is the sublime yoga? Sublime means it is transforming. So even though we spoke about stage by stage, but then there is a sublime path also, and that is the bhakti path. Why it is sublime? That means it is direct. Like this, this even in science we have taught this process of sublimation. So where they say from solid it directly becomes gas. So general understanding is what? From solid it becomes to liquid, and then from liquid it moves to gas. That is in stages. But sublimation is from solid directly it becomes to the gas form, gaseous form. So that's like direct. So sublime yoga is bhakti yoga because you don't have to go through those processes. So that is what she is asking. So there, Prabhupada very rightly brings out the various yoga systems, which we are all aware of. What are these yoga systems? We have the Hatha Yoga, then the Jnana Yoga, and then the Bhakti Yoga. Out of this, the Jnana Yoga it aims at the impersonal Brahman because seeking knowledge, because we know that Lord Kapila actually brought about the Sankhya philosophy, which is to do with Jnana. So the knowledge of the material world, its composition, what is it made of, and then who's the source of all of that. And like that, the 24 elements that are there. So the various elements and how I need to understand which is the 24th, which is the 25th element also, so which is the Lord, and then so on and so forth. So like that, it takes us towards the impersonal aspect of the Lord, which is the Brahman aspect. So Jnana Yoga, by and large. Then there is also this Hatha Yoga system, which is about meditation, which is about looking inward, which is where the destination is the localized Paramatma realization, or the aspect of, we know that the Lord is there as an expansion in all our hearts. So the Paramatma. So the Paramatma realization is what it lands in individual too, if they follow the Hatha Yoga system. And then Bhakti Yoga takes us to the Paramatma the Bhagavan realization of the Lord. So there are three aspects. What are the three aspects? Brahman, then Paramatma, and then Bhagavan. Yes. So these three aspects are realized in the three methods, which is Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Now, Jnana Yoga, but then is Jnana Yoga by itself sufficient? We know the answer, no. Is only the self-meditation or the Dhyana Yoga or the Hatha Yoga, is that the end of everything? No. Then what is it? It is Bhakti Yoga, because Bhakti Yoga includes Jnana Yoga. We get the truth or the knowledge of the transcendental personality, or of the tattva. We get the knowledge, the complete knowledge of what is spiritual. And then so there is Jnana Yoga in Bhakti, and then there is also Hatha Yoga, because we do activities, we realize how the Paramatma is residing in everyone, how he has expanded and all of that. So thereby, this is all inclusive Bhakti Yoga. And now, if you look at Shrimad Bhagavatam, there is one particular verse which very nicely combines all these three. So where the conclusion is that our understanding of the Supreme, or our understanding of transcendence, is only complete if we have proper understanding of all three, of Brahman, then Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So there's that. Anybody knows that shloka? I think it is in the first canto, 10th chapter, verse 11 or 12. I'm not very sure. Vadanti tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam
avyayam brahmeti
paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Thank you so much, Mataji. So that's a very important shloka. And if you read the purport, then you will realize how Prabhupada has reconciled all of this. And then he says that the complete tattva, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. That's a complete understanding of the Lord or the Supreme is in the understanding of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan feature of the Lord. So this way we can understand how, and then by serving the Bhagavan feature of the Lord, that is the personal feature of the Lord, then the Brahman and then the Paramatma features are also satisfied, in the sense like it is all encompassing. So Prabhupada gives that explanation of in 1 lakh rupees, 100 is already there or 1,000 is already included. You don't have to again earn another 1,000 rupees or something like that, because 1 lakh includes the 1,000 also, or many thousands, but then he gives that example, the analogy, sorry, where he says that how $100 is included in $10,000. So likewise in Bhakti Yoga, Jnana and this thing, Dhyana and all of the other yoga systems are already included. So that way this becomes more encompassing, and then it is sublime also. Means you can directly jump that path that I just spoke of, one staircase. You don't have to climb to the top or come to the position of back to Godhead, which is the end point. Through the steps you can come, of course, step by step, one after another. So you go, you come in this material world, sense gratification, then do pious activities, then go to heavenly planets, then enjoy there, then again be a little dissatisfied with it, then you come down, then again do other activities like this, a very laborious, long drawn process, step by step going. So Prabhupada declares, he says, you don't have to take that staircase. I have arranged the lift for you. Just get into the lift and then reach Goloka or reach the Supreme Lord in one instance without, bypassing all these steps, all these landings, all these floors, bypass all of them and then reach the top, and then the door opens and then you are there in the presence of the Lord and continue your seva. What is that lift process? Lift process is Bhakti Yoga process. That is why it is sublime. That is why it directly connects. It can go over. You don't have to follow the path. So in this way, the glories of bhakti or devotional service is being established or re-established by Lord Kapila, and Prabhupada also very nicely is bringing out these things. And then he's also talking about glories by saying how it is deham punarjanma, like it is nivartate, yadgatvana nivartante. That means like it is not, it doesn't diminish. It doesn't over a period. Okay, some devotional service that I did, say 100, 200 or 300 births back, it is still preserved. It has not gone void because so much of time has lapsed. It is eternal. It doesn't fade away. It doesn't diminish. It is preserved. It remains like that. So it gives you an opportunity to build up from where you left off. So that's another important characteristics of Bhakti Yoga, which is its own glory. No other yoga process has this particular feature, which is very, very, if we just understand this, we'll realize how merciful the Lord is. It is like saying, okay, in your previous birth, you studied up to 10th standard. Now you start from 11th. No material organization, however benevolent they are, will do that. But the Lord, he says, okay, I will ensure that that is preserved. Whatever you did in your past, somewhere, some small thing you did, I'll take care of it. I'll protect it for you. So that is why the Lord only says one thing. He says, always think of me. Ananyas chintayanto mam yajana pariyupasate tesham nityabhiktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. I will take care of what your yogakshema. Taking care of yogakshema is protecting what you have and then giving what you lack. So thereby he protects our devotional service or a small thing that we have done, and then he adds on to it. He gives us what we are lacking in, and thereby he takes it forward. But we will have to have this desire to reach. So that is why in this particular shloka, shloka 29, it is talking about Bhagavat Bhan. Bhan means arrow. So what is this Bhagavat Bhan? That is the word that Prabhupada is explaining. It means that yoga system is just like an arrow aiming at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Bhakti Yoga system never urges one towards the impersonal Brahman effulgence or the point of Paramatma realization, but directly to the Supreme Personality or the personal feature of the Lord. And that is the way, like Bhishma Dev, he also made that his dhyana in that way. He was thinking of the personal form of the Lord as Parthasarathi. And his arrows were aimed at that actually. I mean, um, figuratively as well as literally. Actually, Bhishma Dev was aiming the arrows on the Lord also. So we know that. So this way, this bhan is sharp. It's an arrow, and it is swift, and it goes directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, penetrating the regions of impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma. So this way, Prabhupada is explaining, or he's trying to visualize how the Bhakti Yoga is like a bhan, and then practicing Bhakti is like you directly reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So actually, you can see how Lord Kapila is again and again reiterating the same fact about yoga, and then how it is. The characteristics of it is that it is open to everybody. Stri, Shudra, Vaishya, Dvijabandhu, anybody can take it in whatever position you are in. And then whatever little you have done in Bhakti Yoga, it is preserved for you. It doesn't diminish. So like this, you have a system which is so merciful that you have no other option but to progress. I mean, something little you have done. It's like an university which is all head over heels in making sure that their student moves out of that university, like, or a college. So they have these points you can carry over. Even if you have failed, it's okay. You can attend the class next. So there's, to some extent, you can see how merciful. I mean, they are helping that particular student to graduate so that he can go on and then secure jobs and then earn livelihood and then thereby fulfill his various dreams, desires, or whatever be it. But then if you look at it, the system is such that it helps because they realize that in their immaturity, they might not behave in a certain way, but still ignoring those things, they try to take that particular student forward, encourage in a way. So the system is designed in that way. So now all these systems are man-made. And if there is so much of mercy in these man-made systems, why there will not be, the maximum mercy will be in the system that is made by the Lord. And this system that the Lord has made for us to get out of this material world is full of mercy. So that is why you keep gaining points. It is to your credit. It is preserved. So you take many, many births, still it is preserved. But then each birth, you continue to satisfy your senses. So the Lord is allowing that to happen. But then if you follow the scriptures, then you don't have the negative reactions. Like that, there are so many options or benefits that are made available. So if we choose wisely, then we will be able to move out. And that is what is being brought out by this conversation between Devahuti and Kapila. So Devahuti is finally saying in the 30th verse, my dear son Kapila, after all, I'm a woman. It is very difficult for me to understand the absolute truth because my intelligence is not very great. Now, this is a very strong statement. Some people will take offense to it. But actually, we know from the scriptures that the way a man thinks or the way a woman thinks, there is a lot of difference. So Prabhupada and the various acharyas have dwelt on it a little bit, where they say that when we talk about intelligence here, even though the reasoning, the capacities, everything is same, but because a woman is emotionally inclined, she might find it a little difficult to conclude in a right way. So because the emotions coming in, because woman by nature is more emotional, and that being more emotional is a positive quality in a woman because that emotional quotient is needed to take care of the family, to raise children, to maintain all the other aspects. Otherwise, it becomes very dry, and then it becomes very difficult. So she is the one who oils that mechanism or the machinery of family life. So that oil is by emotion, because that lubricant, not oil, that lubricant is the emotions that is there, which is strong in a woman. So thereby she plays that role so wonderfully. So the family is held together, and then the family advances together, and everybody is happy within the family because of this aspect. But then when we apply this emotion in understanding, then it takes a little bit of a back seat, or it takes a little more longer for that individual to come out of it. In the same way, the converse is also true. So trying a man, it's a little difficult for him to emote emotionally within a family. So he might find it very awkward and odd. So like that. So it's not like one is better than the other, but then each have a role to play. And in that context, it is understood by people. It was not a controversial subject in those days. So they used to openly say, okay, intelligence is not so great. So what happens to me? I cannot understand these things. But if you will kindly explain it to me, even though I'm not very intelligent, I can understand it and thereby feel transcendental happiness. This is a perfect inquiry that she is making. And then that is when then Prabhupada brings in another aspect of devotional service. So what are the aspects that we saw of devotional service? We saw the aspect of doing the activity. Then we saw the aspect of associating with other devotees. Then we saw the aspect of renouncing certain things, that is materialistic things. So these are the broad aspects that we saw. Now the third aspect he's bringing in, which is about from where we'll get this knowledge, or through whom we should get it. So the aspect of Guru, or the importance of Guru, and then how we will have to surrender. So the aspect of surrender is being highlighted here. So the knowledge of absolute truth is not easily understood by ordinary, less intelligent men. But if spiritual master is kind enough to the disciple, however intelligent the disciple may be, then by the divine grace of the spiritual master, everything is revealed. So being unintelligent is not a disqualification. So that is being highlighted here. In fact, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura is saying that how it is Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasad. So Yasya, this is a prayer to the Guru, where we say Guru's Prasad or mercy is needed for us to reach Bhagavad Prasad, or mercy of the Lord, or move towards the Lord. Then we'll have to have the mercy of the Guru. So that aspect is being brought out. And he says, Lord Kapila is actually saying that intelligence does not matter, because it is a mercy through the Guru is what matters. So thereby the fourth component of surrender is being brought out. And that surrender is a tool that is needed to evoke the mercy from the Guru, or from the Guru Parampara. So thereby this directly connecting to the Lord is discouraged, but developing a surrendered mood, and then serving the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord is highlighted. Dasa dasa, dasanu dasa. So that is what our parampara is all about. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu propounded this, and he exhibited those qualities of what is humility, how to be humble. Even though we know something, how one has to be humble in front of a spiritual master, one has to project himself as a fool and then go ahead and then try to learn, thereby the mercy flows. Tadvidi pranipatena, that also aligns in the same way. So like this, whichever shloka you take, Prabhupada very nicely brings up the aspect of devotional service and its components, which are renouncing, then action, attaching, and then activity, and then Guru Parampara, and all of this. This will remain, and association of devotees. So all this remains given. So we know these are the cardinal points within our bhakti marg. So we can't ignore or deviate, say, okay, I'll do devotional service, but I'll not associate with devotees. That's again a wrong failure model. Or I cannot say, okay, I will do devotional service, but I'll have some small attachment, I'll continue with that. Okay, we might have an attachment, or we might end up satisfying the senses. But then we should realize that this also has to go. And thereby we have to surrender to the Lord and then plead, beg, so that the distaste for these things come into me. Distaste is different from bad taste. We shouldn't develop a bad taste, but then we should develop a distaste, which means that I'm not going to be affected by this. So yukta vairagya. So this way we will have to tread this path, wonderfully guided by the Guru, and all this will happen only by surrender. So these are some of the glories that we have seen in these shlokas. I'll stop here. It is 10:30. If there are any comments or questions, go ahead. Otherwise, we can conclude today's session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare Bol, devotees. If there is any question. Subbarao, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
It is said here, there are certain ways how you can go to Golok Vrindavan in this life itself. How in this life itself you can reach God. That mention is there.
Yes.
It's told to Devut. But whereas in Bhagavad Gita it is said in 7:19, Bahunam Janmanamante Gnanavan Ma Prapatyante Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sabhatma Sudurlabha. Aneka Janmal, so many births, unless they are over, it's hardly difficult for anyone to realize and have the Gnana. And within that Gnani people, very few will reach me. So these
Correct.
both are not tallying. There it is almost absurd to reach in this life. You have to undergo many births. Here it is said, by doing this thing, you can reach in this life itself. So that
yes,
is
Prabhu, both the statements are true. Both the statements are correct. I can just give you an analogy to comprehend this. This is what comes to my mind. University will accept anybody if they have the sufficient qualification for a doctorate program or whatever it is. Whereas there is a set process also. You finish your 12th, then you graduate, then you do your post-graduation, then you spend time under other PhD, and then you get there. But there are instances where a 13-year-old becomes a doctorate, he's conferred that title and all. So the opportunity is existing for everyone. But still, everybody cannot become a doctorate at 13 years of age or 10 years of age or whatever. So they'll have to go through that process. So both are correct, no? So while they have conferred it because they showed those qualities, whereas in another case, because they gradually elevated themselves, they came to that point, they have got their doctorate. So reaching that end point of devotional service or the Lord can happen in both ways. So Bhakti Marg is such that it is sublime. It will take you directly there, even though it is so difficult. So that's how we have to read these slokas. Even though Bhonam Janmanam Antinyanamam Mam Prapante, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, coming to that platform is very difficult. But for the purpose of Dharman Padicha or Janma Karma Chame, any shloka you take that Krishna has said, he says, you will come to me directly. So you no more birth and death for you. Everything you will be able to transcend. It is like even that example of crossing this material world is like it's a Bhavasagara. They compare it to an ocean, Bhavasagara. But they compare it to, in another instance, they compare it to water contained in the hoof print of a calf or whatever. A small puddle. So not even a puddle, small water. So it's easy to cross that. Crossing an ocean is so difficult. So now there is comparison. Once it is compared to an ocean, once it is compared to a hoof, water contained in the hoof print of a calf. Calf's hoof print, So now these two looks contradictory, right? But why it is not contradictory? Because once a person, it is like Bhakti Yoga, no? So if you get into devotional service, then what was an ocean before is now like this. So it is easy to cross. It is like, even in material science also, some things we don't understand. It is so difficult. It is so problematic. We spend hours together trying to understand it. But once it becomes clear, you realize it was so easy. So that's okay. I can explain now because we have gained that knowledge through the mercy of a professor or whoever. So like that. So the difference is that it is tough and easy. Both holds good. So this is how we should look at it. There is no contradiction, but it is all aligning. I would just mention these things. It might help you to look at it in this way. I don't know if that helps answer your question, but this is what I have to say.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Because if it is in this life, it encourages us to do more and more. If it takes many lives, definitely an amount of discouragement comes.
Yeah.
So that is
No,
the
in fact,
perception
we
of
should,
human.
very true, Prabhu. I agree to that. In fact, what they say is we should be always positive. So we should say, today I am sitting here and then we are discussing about the Lord means many births I have taken previously and I have done so many things in the past. And then those things have added up and then it has facilitated me to land up here. Otherwise, this mercy was not there. I would still be somewhere else pursuing some material things and trying to enjoy senses and, that complete me kind of a life. But thankfully, I've come out of that. So that is what the shloka is all. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. The acceptance that Vasudeva is Sarvam it takes many births to get there. But once you get there, then your devotional service, and it is quick. It is all fast. If you see the shlokas also, it says, Bhavanam Janmanamante Jnanavam Mam Prapadante Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. You will find because it takes many births to reach that point where you come to the conclusion that Vasudeva Sarvamiti. We don't. Many of us don't. It takes many births. But then, if the mercy of the devotee, or the mercy of the Lord is there, then it is accelerated. It is like double promotion. It is like taking the lift. That is what Prabhupada is saying. So if our Bhavanam Janmanam is if you take the staircase, but we are told to take the lift. So it is in this life itself. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Suma
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Okay, sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Prabhuji, pranams, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we need to surrender to the Guru. I just wanted to know how to do that practically, Prabhuji, in devotion. And is there a difference between surrendering to the Guru and to Krishna? Or both same, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
What do you think, Mataji? Surrendering to Guru is as good as surrendering to Krishna?
Because Krishna is
Theoretically.
more pleased when we serve the Guru and when we
Yeah.
surrender to the
Yeah. So surrendering to the Guru it makes
So-
Krishna more happy. So our intention is to please Krishna. Our intention is to please Krishna more. So naturally, our intention is to please Krishna more. So Krishna himself says, I'll be more happy if you serve my devotee or the Guru. I mean, whoever is there in the parampara. So like this, if you look at the various aspects that are there, then logically it will lead us to this conclusion that yes, surrendering to the Guru is, surrendering to Krishna. In fact, it is better than surrendering to Krishna, surrendering to the Guru. It's not even equal. It is better. And that's how merciful the Lord is. He has empowered the Guru more. Like how he empowered Bhishma Dev more for Yudhishthir Maharaj, so that Krishna himself spoke, but then Yudhishthir was not convinced. Maharaj was not convinced. Then he made Bhishma Dev speak, and then he got convinced. So, as Paramatma in Yudhishthira, he was sitting and then he was manipulated that in a way that he wanted to glorify Bhishma Dev. He wanted to give him position which is much more better than Krishna himself. It is like almost like saying, see, Krishna couldn't convince him, but Bhishma Dev convinced him. So who made it possible? Krishna himself made it possible. So surrendering to the Guru is what it is. And then surrendering means what? Hearing their instructions, following their instructions, doing what they do, obeying, putting aside my personal interests and accepting the interests of the Guru. That is surrender to the Guru. Like Prabhupada did that. He kept his personal interest aside. He wanted to stay in Vrindavan in his end days. But his Guru's interest was that he was given an instruction to go out and then preach. So he kept this aside, his interest. Even in his various talks, it says, I should have been in Vrindavan. What am I doing here in US? He used to say that. But then, even though his interest was there, but then he kept that aside. And then he accepted the interest of the Guru. So he surrendered to the Guru. So he aligned himself to the Guru. Aligning to the interest of the Guru, aligning to the wishes of the Lord, all of that is taking precedence over my own self-interest, which is materialistic, bodily attached interest. That is not fine. So this is what is surrender all about. Placing
that is why, Hare Krishna,
ourselves
Prabhuji.
below.
That is why I get a doubt, Prabhuji, like the Guru says, always fix your mind on Krishna. So, but the Krishna says, you always serve my Guru, my devotees, my pure devotees. So
Yeah.
how to do that, Prabhuji? The Guru's instruction, main instruction is following his instruction is always fixing our mind in Krishna. So
Yeah.
we never get a chance to love
so
Guru as much as we do Krishna.
So,
So
Mataji, now there is a subtle difference here. What happens is, because the Guru has said, fix your mind in Krishna, I will fix it in Krishna. So actually, you're obeying the Guru.
yes, Prabhuji.
Krishna says, fix your mind in Guru. Guru is saying, fix your mind in Krishna. So the same thing only you take. So I will fix my mind in Krishna because Guru has said that. I will chant Hare Krishna first and then Hare Rama because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave that to us. So this see the surrender. See this aspect. Even though scriptures there might be instances where something else is being put. And they also are correct. We are not saying it is wrong. But for me, it is very clear. I have been told, so I will do. So surrender to the Guru is prime, and then it takes precedence over other things. And if the Guru is right, then eventually it will lead you to surrender to the Lord only. You don't have to be worried.
Thank you so
And
much,
there's
Prabhuji.
no need to think too much. Of course, such thoughts can come, but then we all know the answer also. So we know, I mean, either way, it is all aligning.
Prabhuji, what one must be lacking, Prabhuji, in devotion, like if he doesn't get any attachment for a Guru? Yes. Srila
We
Prabhupada.
have to cry to Krishna for attachment to Guru. If we can't cry, then we'll have to cry that we cannot cry. I'll use that same example that's told by our Acharyas, by Maharaj. They said, no, if I can't cry for Krishna, then what should I do? Then said, then you have to cry that you cannot cry for Krishna. If I can't do that also, then you have to cry that you have to cry that you cannot cry. So the only thing is to cry, which means that the mood of surrender, mood of positioning ourselves in a position lower than the Guru. So if we don't have that kind of emotional feelings to the Guru, still we can think of how others are emotionally connecting to the Guru. We can think of all the wonderful things that he is doing and then appreciate that person or respect that person. So the respect is also there. No? Respect, awe and reverence is a good mood to have in DT worship, in Guru worship, in everything. Awe and reverence. So we may not be emotionally connecting, but we have awe and reverence. So that's not very hard to cultivate because you know what all he has done. Naturally, there will be awe and there will be reverence because he's sannyasi. I mean, you take their life story, you just read their book, you hear from people, then awe and reverence will naturally come. So this is also there. And then it will lead to emotional connect as we move on. That famous example of arranged marriage is the woman who gets into that in the wedlock with the husband. She carries out all those duties because her mother has told her or whatever. But there is no love. But then there is that, okay, my duty, so I have to do all of this. And suddenly one day there is love that comes up, isn't it? So it's like that. Even in material relationships, it happens. So this is also a relationship. We'll have to cultivate. That's why they say relationships have to be cultivated, whether it is with Lord or with Guru or with individuals.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, and I'm sorry for taking so much of time. Hare Krishna, Mataji, you can go ahead with your question. Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji. Pranams, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Haribo, someone else was asking. Who was that? Anasuya Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, what is Hatha Yoga and how is it related, Prabhuji, to yoga?
Hatha Yoga is that Ashtanga Yoga, that process of Yama, Niyama, Dhyana. That final stage is that Dhyana, I think. So how to say it, how to it's all about control of the mind in stages.
So,
I mean,
Prabhuji,
technically, if you read, you will understand what it is.
So, meditation is related to Paramatma stage, Prabhuji. So, Bhakti Yoga is for Bhagavan stage. So, how is
Correct.
Hatha Yoga related to the other one, Prabhuji? I didn't get it.
See, Hatha Yoga is a process to sit and then meditate. See, what happens it is looking at it in a different way. Now I know my mind is going everywhere. So those transcendentals also realize that. They know I need to control it. So they also understand that it has to be controlled because my mind keeps on going to material things. I'm just telling you in a very simple. So now there is a process of mind control. What is that process of mind control? You sit in a certain way. You breathe in a certain way. So, like that. Then you eat certain things. You don't agitate your senses, take certain things, certain timings, blah, blah, like that. Many things are there. So stage by stage, then you go and then you clear from one to the next, then to the next. Then you come to a point where you will be able to sit still. Asanas you practice so that your body develops the ability to sit still in a place for hours together. So like that, step by step, considering all of the disturbances. Then you reach that point where you can sit in that asana and not think about food or not worry about food because you're able to control your hunger. Then breathing is regulated, your mind is not agitated. So like that, step by step, trying to take care of all of that. Then now fix your mind. So your mind now is fixed. Now where to fix it, that they don't know many times. I'm not trying to pull them down, but what I'm trying to say is generally that's what happens. So then they'll say, think of a point, think of a light, they get into another deviation happens there. But for us, for a bhakta, it is very easy. I have to think of the Lord, think of the lotus feet of the Lord, think of the pastimes of the Lord. So there the deviation is also not so much because you're thinking of Krishna, the picture of Krishna comes, then that some pastime the smaranam you're doing. So you will not have time. Your mind doesn't go to other things at that point. Maybe after that it might go, but at that point it doesn't go because you're thinking of that. If you are able to reach a stage where you're continuously only thinking of pastimes of Krishna and other things, then you're as good as in samadhi. So that is what is samadhi. If you can, technically it says, if you can hold your mind without deviation for some duration is there, 4 hours, 6 hours, something. I'm just giving you an example so that you can relate. That means it is samadhi. So it is so difficult to, if you're able to hold your mind in a certain place without allowing it to move away, then for that duration, then that is samadhi. That duration is very, very short actually. Even I was surprised when I heard it's not like 1 year, 6 months and all. It is just that few hours or something. So if you can do that, that means that you're in samadhi. It means you can do it continuously like that. So Dhruva Maharaj, his dhyana was such that he was able to see the form of the Lord, but he didn't know what was happening outside. If you read the pastimes there, because another place that is going on, so I can recall that, where he had the vision of the Lord, and then his mind was fixed. When the vision went away, then his dhyana got distracted, and then he opened his eyes, and then he saw the Lord himself there. So like this dhyana, Hatha Yoga leads us to that particular point, where he stood on his one toe. All of that is possible for the practitioner when they go through these various processes. But for us, it is direct bhakti yoga. And from bhakti, when we do, then all other things automatically happen, like how it happened for Dhruva Maharaj. But that's not our aim.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So the guru of Dhruva Maharaj is Narada Muni, right, Prabhuji? So why did he tell him to meditate, Prabhuji, instead of going to bhakti yoga, doing the practice
So
of
meditation is also bhakti, no, Mataji? Smaranam, no. He gave that verse and then he made him do. Now that is again another thing. The time, place, and circumstances, the spiritual master's advice will vary for different people in different way based on their quality. So he's a Kshatriya, the conversation that he had. If you tell me, otherwise you move away from my place, I want to proceed further. That was his spirit when he was going to the forest. Small boy, that too. So he took mercy and then he told him what was relevant to him.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
That goal. So if there is no other question, shall we end the session? Okay. Vancha kalpitarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Shall I end the session, Prabhu?
Please go ahead. Hare Krishna.